All right, guys, tonight we're here with Bill Shaw from the 724 Boys Pulling Team. So, Bill, you're here to tell us a little bit about how the season went and how you got started in pulling. So, if you just want to start from the beginning, how did you get into pulling and where did it all start with you guys?
Well, Chase, it started with my family back, in the early 70s. My grandfather and my dad started out at the state level pulling some stock stuff, and they decided to make a run at it. And in the same year, they both won the points title, and one in one weight class and one in the other weight class. And I was kind of born and raised on the side of the track in a playpen. My mom was the secretary, and she took care of all the entries and whatnot. And we just me and my brothers kind of grew up doing this stuff, and I learned at a real young age I needed to blow some smoke. And about 10 years old, I got on my first tractor and pretty much never looked back. It's been a heck of a ride. My family, with Brady doing this now, we're a fourth generation, and it's been a heck of a ride, man. I'll tell you, we're really blessed with what we've been able to do and the customers that we're taking care of, and just to be able to do this sport is truly something special.
Yeah. What kind of tractors did you start out running? I mean, obviously, you probably started with farm stock, and you guys are big international guys.
Yeah, we started out. My first tractor was a 706 gas job, and my dad swore up and down, "Don't take it. You're going to blow the head off of it." And sure enough, I won the pull, but I blew the head off of it. And we went into an 806 diesel, something a little more power, and then I decided to turbocharge that thing, and we got pretty much to the point where going to the stock pulls were not an option because it turned into we were a little more than stock. And at the time, we didn't really have many options. So we decided to make the jump and run a bunch of open stuff at all the local fairs. And I built my first 1066, I want to say back in the early 90s, and started running with Larry Farringer and those guys. And we had a heck of a blast doing that at all the local fairs. And Larry and I and Nathan Graham sat down one night and decided we want to have something bigger, and we decided we were going to make limited pro stock, and we joined up with the boys out east with Foresters and those guys. And I think the first year there was 5 or 6 of us at the hooks, and we just kind of progressed from there. And then I took a little bit of a break here, raised my family, got to build a new farm, build a new home. Started working on my customer base a little bit more, and just decided that it was time to get back in it when my kid decided he was ready to roll, and here we are.
So at that point in time, were you guys even running with any sanctioning bodies, or were you just running all the local pulls?
We were running all the local pulls until they decided USA East was and Rick Fight was going to do the limited pro stock, and then we jumped on with him and ran with him. I want to say maybe 6 or 7 years. And I'm pretty proud to say that we never had lower than a third place finish at the end of the season in the points. We ran that series real hard, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. But I just didn't feel like I was ready to make enough noise yet, and the family kind of got in the way a little bit, but we're here and we're ready to make some noise now.
Yeah. How was the numbers in that class when it first started? Because, I mean, that was probably before my time.
It was, like I said, it was myself, Larry Farringer, Nathan Graham was just getting going at it. There was Foresters usually tried to bring 2 tractors when they came. So we tried to have 5 and 6, and then it jumped to 7 and 8 the next year. Then it went up to 10, 12, and my God, you know what it is now. It's kind of crazy with numbers, but I think you're starting to see those kind of numbers jump to the hot farm now. You're getting a lot of hot farm, big cubic inch hot farm numbers. And we're hoping that, with you guys, and we can get this 466 class up and going, and give these guys that are coming out of a mile per hour class or or coming out of like a non-farm class to find another spot to jump to.
Hmm. What year did you start pulling 466?
We started 3 years ago. This up
Really?
2023 will be our fourth season with pulling the 466. We kind of just wanted to stay at 466. We started talking with a few guys. We started talking with some of the New York guys. We wanted to be able to run up there with those guys and have them come down here and it's just something that I just felt for my son. Um, it was a good start for him, not being too overpowered right out of the gate. Because the young fella never really ran much up until he got his feet wet on that red tractor, and the boy's turning into a pretty dang good driver. I'm pretty
Yeah,
proud of him.
that's for sure. I mean, he won the points with us this year with CS Pulling Promotions. I know you guys ran a couple other events as well, and top of the class in 466. So, I mean, it's pretty impressive, especially with you guys just hopping into CS Pulling Promotions to win the points championship like you did. Especially, I know you guys had some trouble at the beginning of the season too.
Oh boy, it was probably February. Brady came to me and he said he wanted to make this points run, and I said, well, bud, we got to get a good motor, and we thought we put a good one together, and we just found out we had some parts that just some brand new parts that just kind of weren't machined right, and we had a window where we knew with you we only had so many mulligans to give before we had to go back to our old motor, or we were going to lose, not have a chance to win this points, and I think we ran 2 or 3 hooks with you and decided that was it. We got to go back to what we know, and we put our old motor in, and boy, that thing just, I'll tell you what, I think it went on a 7 or 8 win streak where it just didn't lose. It was
Yeah.
just pretty consistent.
Yeah, the one thing I always respected about you guys is a lot of these guys, if they have some issues with their motor, they're done for the season. And you guys just said, we're not doing that. We're not letting the tractor sit. And I always respected that about you and Brady. So,
I really appreciate that. I guess I kind of learned through Limited Pro a long time ago. If you're going to make a stab at the points run, you got to have good people working with you. You got to have a good pit crew, and you got to have good parts. And when something goes down, you got to, we all have full-time jobs, and you got to have make time to put this thing back on the track in a timely fashion. And that was the plan. I remember telling Brady the very first event, we got to crawl, boy, before we can walk. And boy, I'll tell you what, it tested us, and it tested our patience. But we really, I think we really showed everybody what we could do when we put our mind to it.
hmm yeah. And Larry Crawford, he was, I guess, the one to beat in points with you guys, right?
Oh, Larry, I'll tell you what, he's been a lifelong friend. He's a heck of a competitor. He's a heck of a good sport about things. We always joked around in the pits, no matter whether we won or lost. And that, he's a good competitor, and he pushed us hard. He really did. Cause we knew we couldn't make a mistake. If we made one mistake, it was over. And, like I said, to tell Brady to go out and win 7 in a row is just, it's, you just don't do that today, with
Yeah.
the way people are pushing you, and it's tough.
Yeah. And I know Larry, the one thing about Larry, he's not making the most horsepower in the class, but he was very consistent all season. He made pretty good passes pretty much everywhere we went. And I think that's what really made it difficult. And you guys had to step up your game to catch up. So,
We really did. I mean, he pushed us right down to the last show, and we haven't told too many people, but on that last pass, the tractor at about 100 feet started to lay down on us, and we burned a cylinder, and thank God we had enough momentum to get past Larry, because that the girl was telling us it was time for her to lay down, and she laid down. So, but
yeah.
we worked through it, and Larry pushed us hard.
Yeah. A lot of work went into this season. I know that.
Yeah, it sure did. We can't thank the shop enough for all the help, and Richie Weimer. He's like a brother to me, and that guy just stepped in every chance. He he really, he stepped his game up this year, and he came out with us a couple times, and I think maybe he won one or two pulls, and
Yeah, he won.
yeah, he just that tractor's tough. It's tough when it wants to be, and when Richie can drive, and but yeah, we're really appreciative of all the people we got working with us. It makes for a good show.
Yeah, I know Rich was pretty much with you guys all season, and I know he actually won at Knox. He came out and he's not even a 466 hot farm, but he runs what non-farm or tough farm, and he came
Yeah,
out and
he's
he
a
won.
466, but that tractor's got it's limited on RPM and it's limited on turbocharger size. So, but I kept telling them all year, it was just one of them things where, I think guys with a little bit smaller stuff think they can't compete, and they really can. It's not all about just the horsepower and the screaming. I mean, you got to drive that thing too, and you know. When we went up to Langford, New York, we ran with all those guys up there, and they're a little undersized on turbo, but Jason Gardner, he was 5 feet off of us. It was these guys can compete. And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see these non-farm guys jump up and run with us. I mean, it only makes the numbers better.
Yeah, and the purse definitely helps too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've told you all season, you and your organization have treated me and my family and all these pullers well, and it's been a good ride, Chase. It really has.
I appreciate all the dedication. That was my main thing going into this is I want to work with the pullers and all the venues to make sure we could put on the best show possible and then keep you guys happy. And I know our numbers weren't super good in this class this year, but it seems like there's a lot of guys wanting to come out and run in the class now that we kind of got our foot in the door and kind of ran that class for a year. And it seems like there is some interest in it now.
Yeah, I was putting some numbers together here last night, and I believe at your last benefit pool, you had what, 3 or 4 guys that didn't even show up this season that decided to come out for the last hook, and you had some pretty good running stuff in there,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, on my list of guys, you got us, you got Jeremy, you got Lisa, they're coming out. I think Lisa, she's already made a test pass with her new one. You got Larry coming back. He's working on his motor as we speak. Derek Hyde up in Bedford, he's got his tractor out and going pretty hard right now. Just spoke with Logan Probst last night. He's got his motor out. He's pretty much said he's going to run for points this year. Spoke with a new fella I was telling you about in Kevin Grubb. He lives up in the New Enterprise area. He's got a brand new John Deere. Randy Burke from down in, I believe he lives in Katanning, near the Katanning area. He's got a John Deere. You got Grant Claypool. You got, Rich Weimer. And I believe there was even a fellow that ran with you from South Buffalo from up in New York. He ran a
Yeah.
white.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, the numbers are there. I mean, the guys are there. We just, got to get, we got to make sure better than half of these guys are at every pool, and that's what's going to keep this going. Cause I mean, I can assure you, and I know you'll agree to this, Chase, if we don't keep this going, it's going to die.
Yeah.
And then what do we do? So,
Well, I think that's a sport as a whole, we all need to try to work together, build the classes. And I think, I know a lot of the competitors, they don't like to see the combination classes, but anymore, I think that's what you have to do to build these classes, build numbers. And that's one thing we're trying to avoid with the 466 class. We don't want to combine anything right now, as long as we can get those numbers. So right now
right.
we're on track to run a full class with just you guys next year. And I think we're going to have the numbers. And of course, we love to see the tough farm tractors jump up. The white, I believe, is a heavy tough farm that runs with Northwest every once in a while. And those guys from New York, they're always welcome to come down and run. They fit our rule set as well. So,
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. Give guys a place to go, and I know we like seeing new places, and we're ready. We're ready to roll. I mean, I just told Brady last night, man, I wish we had a place to hook because I'm itching already.
yep, ready for winter pulling, right?
I would like to. I really would. we haven't told too many people, but I guess we'll tell people now. We just purchased a new hauler, and we're gonna do some traveling. Uh, we're gonna see the country. So
Yeah, that'll be cool. Put a full wrap on that baby and travel around.
yeah, yeah.
Do you
Just
have any?
having things inside will be a big
Yeah.
plus.
Yep. And that way you can travel, stay overnight if you need to. That'll make it real nice.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's half the fun of it. You get out with your fellow pullers, and it's a good time. It just it's the way it's supposed to be. It's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts. Even I know after the event at Listy, whenever you guys won the points championship, it was just awesome to go back in the pits and see everyone in the class back there. Larry Crawford, everyone that ran that night was there hanging out with you guys, and you guys had the cake and everything. That was fun. That's what it's all about.
It truly is. It truly is. It's like I said, I'm going back to the limited pro days, and I can remember Greg and Larry Farringer. We traveled so much together, and we'd call each other midweek. Okay, who's bringing the chicken? Who's bringing the grill? Who's bringing the beer? We had everything lined up. We literally, we spent all summer with those people, and they were, really, really good people. And but that's what it's all about. You just, those are where the memories are made.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely a fun season so far. And we talked a little bit about winter pulling. Do you guys have any plans to go pulling this winter anywhere?
Well, we're currently putting a new motor back together. We're the one we were going to run last year. We finally got all the stuff to put it back together, and if time allows, we might hit Keystone. With the job I work, I'm kind of hamstringed a little bit on plowing snow in the wintertime, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, maybe within the next 8 years when I retire, we'll be taking the show on the road a little bit more. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're hoping to hit Keystone.
And in a couple years, you should have more than one tractor. That way, Brady can run one, you can run one.
Well, it really would be nice, but I'll tell you what, Chase, uh, I'd rather stick the money in one and make one run real strong than make two run mediocre.
Yeah. So, at what point did you kind of hand the reins over to Brady and let him run?
Well, we kind of decided at the beginning of the season, when he said he wanted to run for you, run the points for you. I wasn't getting in the middle of that. I just, we usually take turns. One will run and the other one will run, but uh, your series, I wanted that to be him, all about him, and all the hard work and dedication that he's put into this sport. I ran another series a little bit, but I'll be honest with you, Chase. Once you watch your kid do something, it's pretty special to just sit back and watch the kid, you know, understand what he's doing, and really just get after it. And he did, and he does, and he understands it. And I think you were at the poll where he had the little mishap, and
Yep.
and all but ran it over the wall, but he got himself under control in a hurry. And I remember telling him right before he left to go out on the track, I said, at about 60 feet, this tractor is going to bite and go straight in the air. There's a wet spot. And sure enough, it did, Chase, and it headed for the wall. But I think right after that, when we got back to the pit, he was shaking pretty good.
Yeah.
And I kind of talked him down a little bit, and he refocused himself, and I had to find a pull immediately to get him back in the seat, because I didn't want him to go stale, with that bad ride in his head. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
these things, they take a mind of their own, and you got to be careful with them.
Well, and as far as the driver, he's really impressive. I mean, that tractor went up in the air, and I just closed my eyes because I'm like, oh, this could get bad quick. But he got it fixed. So
But he got it fixed, and I kept pounding it into his head that when it goes up, it's going to come back down hard. Just you got to ride it out. You cannot smash the brakes, I said, because the sled's coming. It ain't going to stop. So you gotta let momentum slow yourself down. And he really, I remember riding home with him. He said to me, he said, "Dad," he said, "everything you said exactly came to fruition. It was unbelievable. It's like you knew what that tractor was going to do." And I said, "Well, you haven't had a bad ride yet until now." And I think, Bud, we went home. I don't. I think we only had one scratch on a weight. We didn't tear nothing up, and that was, for a kid to go through something like that and not tear it up was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah.
That could have went real bad in a big hurry.
Yeah. Well, and no one wants to see Rex. I know whenever Jeremy and Lisa, they were at, what was it, Chaos for that. And man, those pictures were floating around. That's scary. And luckily, Lisa is fine and everything. But the way that tractor rolled over, people don't realize how dangerous it can be. And that's why whenever, my officials are telling people, get back off the track and yelling at people, it's for your safety. And
I
things can
agree.
go bad quick.
I agree. And we talked with Jeremy a little bit after that, and Lisa did a heck of a job, man. She, it could have been a lot worse, but it was something that was unfortunate and shook her up a little bit. But she's going to bounce right back. That's one tough cookie, I'll tell you what. When you get to see her run, she's going to make our job hard. She's a tough
Yeah.
cookie. So
Yeah, she actually ran at South Buffalo whenever we had that good class there for the benefit pool. I think they ran Friday night, and then the next night they came and ran as a tractor in our class. So, and it was
right.
impressive. I mean, she was. I think they
Oh
actually
yeah.
had the sled set for the 510 Hot Farms, but she took it way out there. So I'm kind of excited to see. I know you guys will have some competition.
Yeah, we got to get back to the drawing board. We know every time that we come up against Jeremy and Lisa, you better be loaded for bear, because they're gonna push you to the limits, and that's good. We're all friends, and we all work with one another. But at the end of the day, that 300-foot track, it's all business.
Yep, and with Crawford building the new engine and Probst having his engine out, I think it's going to be entertaining next year.
It really is. I think so. I think it's going to be. We got our work cut out for us. I know the target's on our back, and that's where I want it. But I know we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the issues you had at the beginning of the season at Knox. You want to talk a little bit more about what happened there?
As far as just the tractor not running right, or is that what you're
Yeah.
getting
Yep.
at?
Yeah.
We had what we ended up finding out was we had an oil pump issue, front cover issue. The tractor just wouldn't make boost. Brady slipped the thing as hard as he could, and it just wouldn't get up on top of the turbo. And we just when you buy new parts, it's not a knock on anybody, but it's the way the world is today. When you buy new parts, you got to double and triple check stuff and make sure everything's ready to go, because this is a lot of money could go wrong in a hurry, and we just thank God we caught it. I mean, the oil pressure dropped, and we got her back to the trailer, and just thought we had the problem solved. We went out the next week, and here it did it all over again, and
Yeah.
that was a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah. And so for those of you watching the video version of this, we will play the videos. Don't worry, I'll play your good videos too, the good runs.
It's
But
okay.
I've got them all. So we'll play the one from Knox. So this was Summer Series Spring Showdown. This is your first run of the season with CS Pulling Promotions. Yeah, so you can see right off the bat, Brady was shaking his head. He knew that it wasn't right.
He knew. Yeah, he knew. It was hard. It was hard to swallow, because I think I even told you before the show. I said I just have it in my gut. Something's not right with this tractor, and we're going to do what we got to do, and we're not going to let you down. And I think we went to Humminburg a couple weeks later, and we got it to go. Like, Brady slipped it and got it to go, and I think it made a 300-foot pass, but it just we went back and read some of the data numbers, and it just it wasn't there. There was nothing there. I don't even know how he got it to go down the track. But
Well, and I remember you telling me, you're like, this tractor isn't running right, but we're gonna bring it to Hummingbird because and that was just 1 week later, so not a lot of time to fix it. But I got that video too, so we'll watch that one here. So there it ran a little bit better. It seemed to be running good then.
yeah, it just still the smoke just wasn't getting out of the pipe hard enough, and just it was struggling. I mean, we pulled all the rabbits out of the hat to make it go that night, and I think I remember my dad walking up to Brady, and he didn't even want to make the second hook. I think Dave Walter was there at the time, and he said just get after it, and he did, and got it to go. But yeah, it was good to see it go, but we knew there was more there. There was just, that tractor just had way more potential than that.
Yeah, and then I think the first time I really saw it come to life was at Weaklands, I think. I mean, Two
Yeah,
Day Thunder, it was running good, and then Weaklands is when it really took off.
yeah, yeah.
So we got that one. We'll watch the Weaklands.
Pulling promotions out here tonight here with Weakland. A great turnout of vehicles here tonight, folks. For those of you at home, you can't see them all lined up. We had back there in the field tonight, but an awesome batch of trucks here for you this season. So here we go. Brady Shaw.
So that was probably one of the first times that I really saw the tractor come alive. I know Andy was in the way a little bit, but we love Andy, so we're not going to tell him to get out of the way.
That guy's always in the way. That was actually the first hook on the old motor with the complete old setup, and I remember my dad saying to me, he goes, we know this motor's going to work. You want to put the new head on, put the new charger on, and I'm like, nah, nope. One thing at a time. Let's make it go first, and then whenever it was going, I didn't want to touch it. I just didn't want to touch that thing, and I remember we were fighting some cylinder temperatures, and the tractor was running still ice cold, and I just, I didn't want to touch it. I knew we had a strong enough tractor to compete, and after the season, this is the way it started. I wasn't touching anything, but
yeah. So I was looking here. It looks like you guys got first at Weaklands, and Logan was in second, and of course Rich was in third, and that's a non-farm tractor.
right.
And Larry was in fourth. So, and you guys were at 297. They had the sled a little bit tight at Weaklands, but so you guys definitely had it running then.
Yeah. That track at Weaklands is, I'll tell you what, it's probably one of the best in the country right now. It is. Without giving out too many secrets, the guys that haven't pulled on it yet, you better have your A game when you go to Weaklands, because it's gonna show you where you're weak at.
Yeah. Well, and just the people there, it's always a good time because Mike and Amanda are some of the nicest people you ever meet.
Absolutely, those people, man, I'd walk to the edge of the earth for them. They're just really, really good people, good friends, good family. I could go on and on with them.
Yeah, and Mike's one of those guys. If you could call him in the middle of the night, and anything you need, he'd be right there. And I know I call him and just for advice sometimes. Here's what I'm dealing with. And he's just a good guy.
Sure is.
Yeah, and the venue is really nice. So I think that was a good class of 466 hot farms there. So
yeah, it was.
It seems like, and then you guys actually made a pass there with the 510s, right?
We did actually. At the end of the season, we went on vacation, and Brady called and he says, "Dad," he says, I was talking with Weaklands. We're gonna run up there and make a pass because we put all the new stuff finally on, the new head, the new charger, and the top 6 big cube hot farms were there, and Brady finished. I mean, we finished in the bottom of the class, which is where we should have been. But Brady was only 5 feet off of the top 6 guys that ran that series all year, and I'm pretty happy with that because we've got a few more things that we're going to throw at this thing and make it even better, and really excited for this year.
Yeah, and that is really impressive. And I'll pick on Brian McConnell. After you guys ran there, I called up Brian. I'm like, you better watch. Our 466 tractors are coming after you. So I pick on him all the time about it. But yeah, it was a good run there. So
Yeah.
that was really impressive. So I'd like to see you guys run with them a little bit more often because it was crazy to think that you guys were just 5 feet off of the top tractors.
Well, that's kind of the plan, Chase. When we're not hooking with you and we're looking for something to do, we're probably going to jump in there and get our feet wet there. Just want to just try to see what we can shake down with these guys. I feel like when we have this 466 right, it's going to run with those guys. Might not be a Brian McConnell or a Dave Walter, but if it's right there in the mix, I'll take that.
Yeah. Yep. So you guys, what are we? We're a couple months from pulling season, so we got a ways to go. But do you have any plans for next season? Anything special you guys are rolling out?
Like I said, we bought the hauler. We've got some things we're going to do in the motor, kind of bulletproof the bottom end of the motor up. We got a new injection pump that we're just dying to stick on here and see how it's going to shake out. I think it's going to be just what we needed. We're dealing with a lot of old parts on some of this. You'd drop your jaw if you knew how old my P pump was. It's on this tractor right now. I mean, it's an old one, but still been running strong and still making the fuel we needed to make. But other than that, we're going to tweak everything we got and come out this year, hopefully, with the guns a blaring and not limping in there.
Yeah. Now, a lot of guys who talk about the parts shortage. Has any of that stuff hit you? Have you been able to get your parts? Or
I'll tell you what, the deal with COVID and then the after COVID, it really did. It hit a lot of guys hard. Parts were really, really getting hard to come by. And I know once we hit COVID, I said to my dad, I said, listen, we're going to start buying 2s and 3s of, and I know it's going to take a hit, but we have to do this. We've got to have stuff on a shelf. That way, when customers come, we got to be able to sell. And we've been very fortunate with that. But I know a lot of the other guys, they're, when you're not a food chain guy, you're kind of down there on the list and you get what's left. And it's hard. I mean, it's starting to rebound some now, but it was hard. It was really hard. And we were very, very thankful we had what we had on the shelves.
Yeah. And I know you guys got pretty lucky. You didn't break anything major, so you were able to still run the rest of the season. You guys have a lot of extra parts, it seems like. So,
well, we've gathered over. My dad's been doing this. He's been repairing tractors since the mid '70s, and we've got our share of parts, and it is funny though. You go to look for something, you don't know where it is. You got to take you a little while to find it. But our organization isn't quite the best, but we know we got it somewhere. Just give me some time to look for it.
Yep. Yeah. So you guys ran all over too this summer. Do you have any favorite events that you hit up?
I'll tell you, we left Clearfield on a Friday night, made a hook there, and we ended up deciding we're going to Langford. We always wanted to go to Langford, New York, and everybody talked about it. And I remember pulling out of the place. I had my dad with me, and my dad's not a traveling guy too much, but he was this year for some reason. I think he's took a shine to that kid, his grandson, but he wanted to see him every chance he could. But we drove up to New York in a pouring down rain and thought, oh, what are we getting into here? And I'll tell you what, it was that place. If you've never been there, you got to get there and you got to hook there at least once in your lifetime, because we had a goal of finishing in the top 5, and to come out of Langford with the win was something I'm going to keep with me a long time.
Yeah. How many tractors was in your class up there?
There were 12 in the class up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's kind of in the heart of pro farm country, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Those guys travel in packs, man. They what a great group of guys. I mean, they made us feel at home, and Jason Gardner, he just I can't speak enough about that guy. He's a really, really good guy, and just made us feel very welcome.
Mm-hmm. So you guys were at Langford. Of course, Weaklands is probably at the top of your list as well.
Well, I'll tell you, Weaklands is probably like our home pool. It's really, it's about an hour from us, but that facility up there, I think we hooked there almost 6 times this year, and yeah, it's my home track. I'm going to say that it's without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely a lot of nice venues that we hit up this year. So hopefully we can hit up some more venues next year, nicer venues. So
yeah,
we'll
Chase, every place we pulled with you this year was just pretty special. I mean, the track, everything, the trucks, the tractors, everybody, you had good venues, you had good dirt, you had good sleds, you had good people working with you, and that's what it takes to make this successful. The fans were coming out, and it was good to see. It was really good to see. I think, my God, I think in Weaklands you packed the house up there. I mean, I can remember people saying they were, pulling out, and there was still cars coming in. That's awesome.
I think there's more side by sides than cars, though.
Yeah, it's quite the place. I mean, you got to get up there and see that place too. Those guys up there, they do a great job. And I know my wife and I, every time we pull in there, I mean, Mike and Amanda have done something new to the place, and it's just, yeah, you really got to get up there and experience that on a weekend too.
Yeah, I know my clown Jumpin' Joey. He's all for going back there because the crowd is just so fun there.
Yeah, he was quite entertaining that night.
Yeah, now I have more people asking me if Jumpin' Joey's going to be there than what classes we're running. So,
he's something.
oh yeah, and Steve Eaton. I mean, just good guys to work with. Unfortunately, we didn't get to work with Denver, the other announcer, but Steve, super good guy. So hopefully, get to work with him in the future as well.
Right.
But yeah,
it's
so
been a
big
good
things
ride.
coming next year. Yeah.
What's that?
You got big things coming next year, and you guys are looking for sponsors as well, right, for your tractor?
Yeah, we're always looking. It's this sport. It takes a lot. It really does, and we've got a heck of a sponsor that we signed. I'm going to say 2.5 years ago in American Financial Concepts. Those guys have been fantastic. They've really taken care of us. I can't speak enough about what they've done for us to get us on the track and keep us on the track. And if you're looking to put your money somewhere, for a retirement, look these guys up because they do a fantastic job, and you won't regret it.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they were actually at the last event where you guys won the points championship, right?
They were, yeah. They the one fellow that was actually there. Yeah, he lives not too far from there, and we called him. We said, "Hey, you got to make it. You got to make it." And we were so happy he showed up because I think Brady's very first hook with that tractor 2 years ago was on that track, and they were there, and I was nervous, man.
Really?
Man, was I nervous. Sponsor sitting in the seat, and you got a greenhorn on the wheel. It was kind of crazy, but yeah, these guys, I don't know what it is when they show up. It just, I don't know. They just add an extra spark. They're just really good people.
Yeah, and that's what you got. You got to have good sponsors behind you, and ones that come out and support you. That's awesome. I know all of our sponsors at CS Pulling Promotions. I think they were at a bunch of our events. Apex Diesel, Dustin, and his brother Matt at HP. super good guys, and Angry Duck helped us out a lot. And we actually signed a new contract with Full Throttle Performance. So just a lot of guys hopping aboard, and they're all just super cool to deal with. Those are more guys that I can call up and ask for advice, and just good people to work with. So
Right.
I'm sure you guys run into a lot of those guys as well.
Yeah, we try. We know today with the way things are going in the world, it's hard. People shelling out money, but when like we've told these people, we got a hauler now, and you get that name splattered on the side there. That's a rolling billboard, and it's right off for some of these businesses, and
Mhm.
we're fortunate. We're fortunate to be put in a position to do this, because I always thought, my grandpapa always told me a long time ago. He said, don't ever take this sport for granted. And there's always a little boy or girl sitting up in the corner of the bleachers that would love to be in your position. And I've always kind of carried that with me. It's just so true.
Mhm.
We get to do something that a lot of people would love to do.
Yep. I think it's huge whenever, you got little kids coming in the pits and checking out the trucks and tractors. And I think all my guys that see us pulling promotions, they're more than happy to let the kid hop up in the tractor, sit. And that's what it's all about, because that's the future of the sport. So,
That's so true. It really is. You put a little kid up on the seat of that thing and just watch them smile, and you made their day, and you give them a T-shirt, and they're just that's where it's at for me right now.
yep. Yep. So, where do you guys see yourself in like 10 years in the pulling industry?
Well, if it's up to Brady, I'm sure we're probably going to end up in limited pro stock one of these days. I see it coming. The kid wants it so bad, and
Mhm.
he's working so many hours right now with the union, and trying to become a union operator, and I want him to get him established a little bit in life here before he bites off a little more than he might be able to chew. And you know uh, having a home to me is more important than a pulling tractor.
Yeah.
And I just, I'd like to see him just get his roots settled in good and solid before he, you know, plays himself out of this sport. Because you can do it in a real quick hurry if you don't manage right.
Yep. Oh yeah, it gets expensive, and I know there's a huge jump in money whenever you're building a limited pro or a light pro or even a super farm. It can get expensive quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. I keep thinking about it every day. Um, our 20.8s are real real inexpensive compared to those 24.5 pullers and the fancy stuff, and I just that's man, oh man, that's a big bite. I guess we'll have to start saving now for 10 years from now.
Yeah. Luckily, there's really good numbers in those classes, and I think those three divisions I think will stick around, especially if we can find a way to run them together, like what we're working at. We've got a lot of head track officials working with us, tech officials, trying to figure out how to get those classes to run together. So I think if we can get that to happen, we'll have a really good class, and it'll be around in 10, 15 years.
I think so too. I think the hardest thing in this sport is everywhere you go, there's rules that are just a little bit different. And you got to take the intercooler off to go here.
Yeah.
You got to change this to do that. And I just really wish we could have some just universal rules where one fits all. I've got a brother who lives in the Carolinas, and I'd love to get down there and pull, and I'm probably going to do it, maybe this year or next year in that 466 class down there. But that's kind of another reason why we stayed 466, because it's just kind of no frills. You just, you can go hook wherever you want to hook. And I just like to see a little more uniformity, with what's going on with these rules. But
Yeah. Which I think a lot of that is done on purpose. It keeps guys running your organization, and that's one thing that I talked about with my tech inspectors. So we can't do that, because guys want to be able to go run out at Midwest Winter Nationals. They want to be able to go to Louisville. So whenever you're changing rules to keep people out of different organizations, it's just not good for the pullers, and it hurts the competitors.
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head with everything you just said. It just, when you keep guys locked in, it's kind of, that can be a double-edged sword on, for myself. I mean, I'll commit to you, but I want to be able to do what I want to do too. If I want to be able to go somewhere, I don't want to be hamstringed. And we've been loyal, and we're going to stay loyal. And that's what makes this all successful and makes it all work.
Yep. And that's a lot of the reason we did go with those New York hot farm style rules. So if any of those guys want to come down, they can. If you guys want to go up and run with them, that's possible. So.
And I like that, Chase, because just for the Langford deal, we had to change nothing to go up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we gave them a couple 100 pounds, and I was good with that. I didn't have to change a thing on my tractor, and that's what I wanted. That's kind of why we wanted to start where we wanted to start. We knew that up there in New York was going good and strong, and I think they have a couple different organizations up there. Some are, 2.6 chargers, some are 3.0 chargers, but we knew no matter what, we were going to be able to go and hook and not have to do anything.
Yep, that's what guys like to see. They want to be able to hook wherever they want, and I think things really changed during COVID because I don't think you see the loyalty to different organizations like you used to. Now guys want to go to their hometown fairs and run, even if the certain sanctioning body's not in there or is in there. They want to go different places and run.
I agree. I think that is, it's important, even for us, with the sponsor that we have, he's predominantly, Westmoreland, Indiana, Fayette County driven, and we've got to kind of be around here for him for that. When that tractor pulls on the track and his name gets announced, those are some of his customers sitting in the seats that they're going to watch that. And that's important. And that's important to me, and that's important to him.
Yep. And get more eyes on the sponsor, the venues that you go to. And if people see that you're traveling all over the country, I know Ron King and I were just talking about this. Your sponsors love to see you traveling all over. It gets more eyes on their business as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we love to see sponsorship money coming to the sport.
Oh, it's hard to do without it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Even with increased purses, you guys still aren't even breaking even.
Well, we're smiling, Chase. We're smiling.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think anyone gets into motorsports for the money anyways. So
no, and if you do, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
It's a tough racket, man, and you gotta be in this for the long haul.
Yep. That's for sure. So yeah, I know you guys are pretty busy. So is there anything else you'd like to talk about here before we end for the night?
I think we covered just pretty much everything. I want to thank you and your organization, Chase, and your family, and for everything that you did for us this year and for this sport. And I admire you for what you're doing, and you're doing a hell of a job, and we just really appreciate the hospitality and just the knowledge that you bring. It's pretty awesome, and we know that you're going to continue to build this sport, and we're going to be right there with you.
Well, I appreciate all the dedication. Like I said, I respect you guys from this season. You were always there at every event we had, and that says a lot there. So
thank you.
Make sure to check out 724 Boys on Facebook. Do you guys have any other social media accounts?
I don't think so right now, unless my kid does.
Yeah,
I try. That's not me,
TikTok.
Man.
He's got TikTok. I know he does. So
yeah, he does.
Yeah. Make sure to check them out, and they are open to sponsorships. So anybody looking to sponsor a vehicle, another great opportunity. So I'd like to thank you again, Bill, for coming on, and we'll see you here at our banquet coming up Friday night.